Millions of Americans are still waiting for their stimulus check, and now some of those people will be receiving payment in the form of a debit card. Brad Allen with Drake and Associates joining us this morning to explain why those cards are being mailed out and how you can actually use them. So let's just start with that, Brad. Why a debit card versus the paper check that others got?
Yeah, well, a lot of folks were getting direct deposits right into their accounts. But if you didn't have any information at the IRS about account numbers and where to send that to, they were sending out a paper check. So now they're sending out these prepaid Visa debit cards in place of those paper checks. The idea being that it might be a little bit safer. Number one, you have some fraud protection, loss protection, those kind of things. But also, it could get out a little bit quicker. You know, instead of a check for everybody, they're sending out these prepaid debit cards and saying that it could potentially get to you a little bit faster.
And then for people to actually use that money then, if you're familiar with a debit card, does it work the same way? What do people need to know?
Yeah, so it's a prepaid Visa debit card, and you can use it. You can take money out of an ATM. You can use it in store. You can even transfer what's on that debit card over to your bank account. You can use it online. You can use it any way you would a regular debit card. But there is a little bit more fraud protection, like I said, some loss protection, those kind of things. But yeah, absolutely. Or you could just transfer it over to your bank account, whatever suits you the best.
And then the larger issue of what you actually do with that money, if you are in a situation where you're all right, your basic expenses are covered, what are you guys recommending people do with that little bit of extra?
Well, you know, the first thing you should always do, whether you're working, you're in retirement, or just starting out, I mean, you should have some kind of emergency fund. And we saw how important that was over the past couple months. You know, having that 3 to 6 months worth of cash on hand in case something were to happen, you know, you have that money you can draw from in those kind of crucial times. But I think that's the first place to start. So if you don't have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, that would be the first place I start. The next place I would look at maybe paying down some debt. You know, if you have some credit card debt, if you're getting this money and you don't necessarily need it, you have your emergency fund, you have everything ready to go, you know, tackling debt can be one of the best things you could do. I always recommend the avalanche method. So the avalanche method says take the highest interest debt that you have. Let's say you have 3 different credit cards. Take the highest interest that you have and throw as much as you can at that highest interest payment. And once that's paid off, move to the next highest. And that's going to create some momentum, get that paid off quicker for you.
Wonderful. That is good advice as always. I'd just be curious, we're short on time, but any kind of last thoughts on the state of the economy, what you guys are telling your investors these days as some things start to open and we start maybe a little bit of a recovery?
You know, it's interesting to see what it does every day. You know, any news that comes out, it can make the market a little bit volatile. You know, we have some things down the road this year, like the elections. There's certain things that we're looking into where we work a lot with retirees who are a little bit more conservative and don't want to have these big swings in the market. But I think if you have your risk tolerance, if you know you have a certain amount of time before you retire, I would keep putting as much money into the market as possible, really build up those retirement accounts. Even if the market's down, that might be a really good time to buy in because you're buying at a lower cost.
That's great advice, and you can find more information about Drake and Associates and Brad's wonderful work on our website, fox6now.com. Thanks as always for joining us.